Okay, so just to make sure that, ISO is not an organization or a building in Geneva. It's a member-driven entity represented by 166 national standardization body and composed of thousands of standard experts from all over the world, including Sri Lanka. So in this regard, I'd like to express my sincere appreciation to those standard experts who devote their precious resources for the international standardization activities. Let me thank for their outstanding works very much. Let's talk now about the ISO Strategy 2030, which was developed through discussions for several months and finally announced in 2020. We have defined it 2030 in our strategy as a milestone to align with the United Nations ambitious goals, a global agenda for 2030. We set out our vision for 2030 to make our lives easier, safer, and better, while UN 2030 agenda is aiming at achieving a better and more sustainable future for all of us. As outlined through the 17 Sustainable Development Goals, those goals will require international collaborative efforts to make it a reality. So ISO is built around the spirit of collaborations, and I believe that standardization surely plays a key role in transforming our world into a sustainable one. The three goals we have set by ourselves are stepping stones to our vision and will help us to ensure that our work makes people's lives easier, safer, and better. They will help maximize our impact and ensure that through our members, we bring experts together to agree on international standards that address global challenges. ISO's three goals for 2030 are: Goal 1, ISO standards used everywhere. Our standards must be widely used. Therefore, we need to ensure that our standards are high quality, easily accessible, and usable, and that people understand the benefits that they bring. Goal 2 is meeting global needs. We must develop consensus-based standards that are relevant and respond to our current and future challenges. So we must focus on getting the right standards to make at the right time, within the right content, and in the right format. Goal 3 is all voices heard. Our system must foster diversity and inclusivity. We need to ensure that we attract and retain the best experts and enable everyone to participate in. So accordingly, we must listen to all voices, both in development of standards and when making decisions at our organization. We then have set 6 priorities to focus our resources to achieve the 3 goals and maximize our impact. Each priority primarily supports one goal, as shown on the slide. Number 1, to encourage the widespread use of ISO standards and attract experts to the development process. We must clearly demonstrate the benefits of using ISO standards. Number 2, technology is changing the way the world does business, collaborates, and consumes content. So ISO needs to ensure that it understands what this means for users' needs, both users of the ISO system, which means participants in standards development, and also the users of ISO standards, so-called customers. Number 3, the new technologies, changing customer expectations, and the need for solutions to address urgent global challenges are putting pressure to ISO to adapt and accelerate its processes. Timeliness is a key. ISO must get standards to market quickly, but without compromising the quality of our standards. Number 4, to ensure we fulfill our mission, we must analyze where we can have the greatest impact today and in the future. This can be done through foresight strategy and responsive action. ISO should therefore monitor global trends and challenges, explore the role of standards in the future, and share this knowledge and insight to identify new or challenging needs or changing needs. Number 5, to work with our members to increase their engagement and ensure they maximize the benefits offered by the ISO network. We provide training and support to strengthen members' skills and infrastructures, allowing them to fully participate in ISO activities. ISO will promote knowledge transfer within its network, especially increase networking and collaboration within members, of course, including at the regional level as well. Number 6, we must actively listen to all voices to ensure that our standards meet global needs. This is why the ISO system must be inclusive by welcoming and valuing differences, and ISO standards must be developed by groups that reflect the diversity of all stakeholders, standards users, and beneficiaries. We will focus our efforts on building and maintaining an organizational culture that is inclusive by promoting acceptance and respect, empowers people, and allows diversity to thrive. This is a snapshot or summary of the ISO strategy I just explained. For the proper and efficient implementation of the strategy 2030, ISO has also developed so-called rolling implementation plan to conduct various programs or projects, and its measurement framework as well to monitor and evaluate the progress of those programs and projects. So this slide shows the programs portfolio currently going on under the strategy 2030, including digital learning solutions, ISO smart standards, digital collaborations, blah, blah, blah. Among them, there's a sustainability program, which is on the very right-hand side, which is considered to be a flagship program of ISO. The sustainability program initially focuses on projects linked to the climate action, namely the London Declaration Action Plan and the ISO transition to net zero, as well as on diversity and inclusion, such as the Gender Action Plan 2022-2025 and the Young Professionals Project to incubate standards experts of the next generation. While climate action and diversity and inclusions would be two core subject items of ISO's sustainability program, coordination with other ongoing initiatives linked to sustainability, such as the work of the Strategic Advisory Group of Technical Management Board on Environmental, Social, and Governance Ecosystem, in short, ESG, and standards for smart farming will be ensured through the recently created ISO CS Central Secretariat Sustainable Unit. So all the sustainability related projects are taken care by the sustainability unit recently established in ISO Central Secretariat. Other areas of sustainability, such as economic prosperity or health care, food security, or education, just naming a few, are planned to be considered at a later stage. As you might be well aware of, the ISO announced the London Declaration last year at the occasion of our General Assembly meetings hosted by BSI UK. To support this declaration was developed to support the Paris Agreement, the UN SDGs, and UN's call for action on adaptation and resilience. We believe that international standards play a crucial role in underpinning the global economy and creating trust on all aspects of international trade. ISO has a number of standards that are essential in supporting the climate agenda. They help adapt to climate change, quantify greenhouse gas emissions, and promote the dissemination of good practices in environmental management. The science is clear. The need for urgent measures to reduce GHG emissions and help adapt to climate change is overwhelming. So without up-to-date international standards, industry and other stakeholders will be unable to achieve what is necessary. Achieving the objectives of London Declaration requires urgent action in 3 priority areas. The first is standards development. The need for urgent measures and solutions to reduce GHG emissions and help adapt to climate change is pressing. To effectively contribute to the global efforts to fight climate change, ISO needs to make sure that the right standards are developed at the right time. The second is strategic partnerships. For ISO to establish its position as a climate action leader, partnering with other organizations and multi-stakeholders, alliances, and coalitions active in the field is necessary. In addition to organizations we already partner with, for example, UNFCCC, ISO should explain or expand its collaboration and partnerships with other relevant initiatives, such as the World Economic Forum's Climate Action Platform, the Getting to Zero Coalition, or the Science-Based Target, just naming a few. The third is the communication, perception, and branding. In order to attract interest from climate scientists, organizations working on climate issues, civil societies, and more diverse and inclusive groups to participate in standards development, ISO must be perceived as a leader and a major provider of global solutions for climate actions. ISO should be the leading global solutions provider through international standards. Now, let me briefly touch upon the hottest issue or topic at the ISO, which is an IWA, International Workshop Agreement 42, which will be soon published in early November. This IWA will be available free of charge and also downloadable because of the importance of the important nature of the deliverable. IWA 42 is a guiding principle for net zero concept, which will enable all interested parties to take part and aims to form consensus on the definitions surrounding net zero to support voluntary initiatives and standards, as well as economy and international policy objectives. Greater consistency and clarity surrounding net zero will ultimately increase the impact of any global efforts. More specifically, IWA 42 will seek to include a definition of net zero and related concepts, economy, regional, and organizational. How the definition should be incorporated into initiatives, strategies, and policies at all levels, and the basis for accountability mechanisms and measurements, such as development of consistent indicators, enabling reporting and communication. The second core subject is diversity and inclusion. Building on the findings from the first gender action plan of ISO, and in support of ISO's strategic priority of advancing inclusivity and diversity in the ISO system as an integral part of ISO Strategy 2030, the new ISO Gender Action Plan for 2022-2025 is proposed to continue supporting gender equality within ISO. So with this action plan, what do we want to achieve? The first, collect and analyze data on gender representation. ISO will continue to collect adequate data and use appropriate databases for capturing gender disaggregated information with regards to ISO members, top management, technical committees, and governance bodies. Reliable and accurate data gathering is a continued priority and will help ISO and its members to enable the effective monitoring of ISO's progress towards its long-term objectives. Second, to ensure the balanced participation and representation. The inclusion of all genders in the development of standards is a key element in ensuring standards meet the needs of users. ISO will work to understand the barriers and obstacles leading to the low representation of women in technical work. This priority will also seek to understand whether women's voices are sufficiently heard and valued in technical work, and seek opportunities to increase their contribution in technical work and in our governance positions. Third, ensure the ISO deliverables are gender responsive. ISO will capitalize on work being carried out by the ISO IEC Joint Special Advisory Group, NSBs, and other partner organizations to assess the gender implications of ISO standards and create instruments and tools to mainstream gender issues in ISO's technical work. Fourth, ISO Center Secretariat plays a key role in promoting gender equality within the ISO system. The ISO Center Secretariat is a key player to ensuring gender perspectives are reflected in the ISO system. ISO Center Secretariat will work to support the broader diversity and inclusion efforts and activities, including mainstreaming the gender into ISO's core thematic messaging. Fifth, the support ISO members on gender equality. ISO recognizes that the success of the ISO Gender Action Plan hinges on equipping its members, the community of experts and stakeholders, with the knowledge and tools on the link between gender equality and standards. Accordingly, ISO will continue to work on developing tools, sharing knowledge and best practices, and providing support to members. Last but not the least, I would like to talk about the importance of the regional engagement policy of ISO. The regional engagement policy was established in 2020 to further facilitate ISO's activity by reflecting all voices or all voices heard from different regions of ISO. The policy has two pillars. Pillar one is to provide dedicated, sustainable, and tailor-made support directly to all ISO members in a regional context to support the implementation of the ISO Strategy 2030, to support capacity building for all members, and to strengthen advocacy, as well as promoting the communications, collaborations, and partnership. Pillar two is to enhance engagement with the regional and sub-regional standards organization for cooperative exchanges and input in implementing the ISO strategy, the ISO regional engagement policy, as well as the ISO action plan for developing countries. It also aims to improving for sharing of information and seeking the support of the regional standards organizations in raising awareness of ISO programs in the region. It's also aiming at promoting the regional adoption of international standards in accordance with ISO IC Guide 21, and to support, where practical, the training and technical assistance being conducted by the regional standards organization. And also building and maintaining effective relationships between ISO Center Secretariats and the Regional Standards Organization. According with the regional engagement policy, ISO members are divided in 4 regional groups, as shown on the slide. They are Africa and Arab State region, Americas and the Caribbean region, Asia and the Pacific region, and the Europe and Central Asia region. Sri Lanka is definitely belonging to the Asia and the Pacific region. And for each region, regional coordinator has been assigned to provide the tailor-made support according to your own needs. And so for the Asia and Pacific region, Ms. Ike Permatasari, seconded by our friends organization BSN Indonesia, has been assuming the important role. So whenever you have any requests or queries or suggestions, I would like to encourage you to contact with Ike-san, who should be then your full support to make your lives easier, safer, and better. So this is the end of my presentation today. I'm very glad to have been given this opportunity to talk with you, and thank you very much for your attention. And a bit sorry for the bad connection at the beginning. Thank you anyway. Have a good day.
I thank you from the bottom of my heart for taking time from your busy schedule to be the guest speaker at our webinar. Your presence and wise words helped magnify our course in the best possible way. Thank you, Mr. Matsumoto. Now, the session is open for your questions. Please forward your questions to the chat box. Our experts panel is now ready for answering your questions. On behalf of SLSI, it's my pleasure of inviting Mrs. Samanthi Narangoda, Deputy Director General of SLSI, and Mrs. Nilakanti to conduct questions and answer sessions now onwards.
Yeah. Thank you, Kanchana. There are 2 questions from the chat box to our keynote speaker, Mr. Mitsuo. They asked about that. Can you explain how does ISO support member countries to enhance their knowledge on newly formulated standards?
Oh, you mean that? Do you mean that the new
standards? Yeah.
New standards. Okay. Usually, if you know we recognize that the impact of a new standard is high or big, we should be able to organize this type of introductory workshop or seminar or Zoom meetings to be conducted by ISO CS. But for that, I think we should be able to, we should submit the request to the CS. There's no, how can I say, automatic mechanism to conduct that kind of a webinar for the newly developed standards. So if you have any request, as I said, better to ask our regional coordinator, Ike-san, who is in charge of Asia Pacific region, to send that kind of request, and they should be, she should be very happy to respond to that kind of request.
Request from Central Secretariat of ISO.
Sorry, you are muted. I didn't hear your question.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you now.
Yeah, that means the member countries should request from Central Secretariat of ISO to conduct the webinars or any online seminars?
Yes.
Okay, thank you very much. And there is another question. How does local industry can involve in ISO capacity building programs?
How the local industry can be involved in the capacity building program, right? That was the question, right? Okay. Again, I mean the capacity building program is taken care by the capacity building unit or by ISO Central Secretariat. Again, that capacity building unit should be able to organize specific seminars for specific countries. Again, if the request comes from that specific country's NSBs. So if you are talking about Sri Lanka industries, I think you as an SLSI should collect that kind of request from the industries and ask the ISOCS capacity building unit again through our regional coordination officer. That is their main role to connect the NSBs and the ISOCS. So please approach them with a specific request so that they can organize the seminars or workshops as requested, as needed. Can I add one more thing, if I may? Okay. The regional office, regional coordinator, they conduct a monthly, WebEx, Zoom meeting monthly. Each region has their own, Zoom meeting every month. So what I'd like to encourage you is to participate in that, monthly Zoom meeting with the regional officers, so that you can convey your request to the ISOCS much more easily. And our regional officers coordinator is always very happy to hear our voices. So unless speaking up, they couldn't recognize, they cannot recognize the interest of our region. So I really would like to encourage all of the members to participate in that monthly meetings with regional officers. I should mention that. Sorry.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you very much.
We have another question. Can you hear me, Mr.
Yes.
Matsumoto? Yeah. Actually,
Yes.
in your presentation, you mentioned about the net zero concept. Can you just elaborate what it is for our understanding?
New to us.
It's new to us.
Oh, okay. In short, net zero concept is, I can say, is balancing our emissions and is trying to reduce our carbon footprint as much as possible through any type of activities, including our technical committees or the way how we develop the standards. So, for example, the smart standards discussion which is or a digital publication of ISO standards, they are also closely related to the net zero concept. Of course, ISO Central Secretariat at their buildings in Geneva, they also try to reduce the usage of energies at their buildings. For example, recently the ISO Council decided to have from year 2024, so that we can reduce our own carbon footprint without traveling to participate in the council meetings. Those are some examples of the net zero concept. That concept is still evolving, actually. So I hope in the coming years you can see more examples of evolved net zero concept at the ISO.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Mitsuo.
So, Ms. Kanchana, those are the only questions we received in the chat box.
My dear friends, the time is not permitting us further to continue with questions and answer sessions. Thank you, Mr. Matsumoto, for giving valuable explanations. Now it is time for appreciating the efforts of everyone, those who have made this beautiful day a success. I cordially invite Mrs. Samanthi Narangoda, Deputy Director General of SLSI, to deliver the vote of thanks.
Thank you, Kanchana. Honorable Kanaka Herath, State Minister of Technology, Professor N.D. Gunawardena, Secretary to the Ministry of Technology, Keynote Speaker, Mr. Mitsuo Matsumoto, Vice President of ISO, members of SLSI Council and representatives from the ministries, Mr. Azanga Ranasinghe, Chairman of SLSI, Dr. Siddhika G. Zenaratna, Director General and CEO of SLSI, and distinguished participants. Good morning to all of you. It's a privilege for me to deliver the vote of thanks at this memorable event organized by the Sri Lanka Standards Institution to celebrate the World Standards Day 2022. As you know, the World Standard Day is annually celebrated on the 14th of October with the aim of augmenting awareness among regulators, industry, and consumers on the importance of standardization. Sri Lanka Standards Institution, SLSI, the Sri Lankan partner to the International Organization for Standardization, ISO, conducts this webinar to make a platform to memorize and promulgate the importance of standardization in enhancing the mutual reliability of each other. Honorable Minister, my sincere gratitude for your presence and delivering a remarkable speech to grace this event, even with your busy schedule. Thank you very much, sir. My special thanks goes to Professor Gunawardena, Secretary to our ministry. Thank you very much for your presence, sir. Mr. Mitsuo Matsumoto, Vice President of ISO, we are delighted to have you for the webinar today to deliver the keynote speech on the theme Shared Vision for a Better World 2022. The Sustainable Development Goals, that is SDGs, represent our shared vision for peace and prosperity for people and the planet. Through the excellent speech that you delivered as the keynote speaker, you enlighten all the participants on how the national and international standards contribute to achieve sustainable development goals and the activities of ISO. Thank you very much, sir, for your very informative presentation. My special thanks goes to Mr. Asangarana Singha, our chairman, who delivered the welcome address, and also to Dr. Siddhika Ji Senaratne, our Director General CEO, who provided an introduction to the webinar. I reciprocate my gratitude for both of you for the guidance and unstinted support extended right throughout to organize this event successfully. My special thanks goes to the management and staff of SLSI for their cooperation and contribution to carry out this event effectively. And I wish to extend my sincere thanks for the staff of Standards and Services Promotion Division of SLSI for their tremendous effort to make this event a success. And my special tribute to the IT team of SLSI. This event would not have been successful if not for the support of the IT team. Thank you, Mr. Kanchana and the team. I thank Mrs. Kanchana Lokugigana for her role as the moderator of this webinar. Dear participants, I wish to mention that this webinar would not have been a reality if not for your presence. Thank you very much for your participation. Last but not least, I thank all who contributed to make this event successful. World Standards Day is a global celebration of the power of standardization. Standards touch almost every part of our daily lives. So, please join hands with SLSI to achieve sustainable development goals, focusing on economic growth, social equity, and environmental growth of the country. Thank you very much.